Hello everyone! Upon popular request, I'm filming this video because my taste in brushes has changed quite dramatically over the last few years. Let's get started with my top two, which I have talked about in a favorites video recently, but my first love was the Artis Oval 8, and I just love this flat top style brush. It's perfectly easy to grab the whole plane of the cheek. It just makes putting on foundation a breeze. Now I am wearing the same exact makeup from my last video, which was the foundation tutorial, where I used the Fluenta 7. The Fluenta has a stiffer whole handle, whereas there's a little bit more flexibility and give with the Oval 8. The foundation that I love to use with both of these brushes is the Chantecaille Future Skin, and I just find that this is a match made in heaven. For some reason, I am able to get a lot more coverage with the Artis brush than I am with my fingers or any other brush, including sponges. I don't really use a beauty blender anymore. I especially find that on dry skin, a beauty blender can accentuate surface dryness. The Fluenta is an exclusive to neimanmarcus.com, whereas Artis's mirrored collection, the smoke one, is available on Nordstrom, and the silver is available on Space NK. So they're available at a wide variety of retailers, but it's not as easy to find, for example, as a MAC brush. If you're interested in seeing the Fluenta brush as well as the Chantecaille foundation in action, please do check out my last video. And in that video, I also use my concealer brush, which I use to apply concealer all over my face basically. So you'll see the whole makeup. The only difference between that look and this right now that I'm wearing is that I added my By Terry Nude Beige powder all over. So I'll link all of that makeup worn down below in the description box in case you're curious. But these are my top two brushes. I highly recommend them. You can even put on powder foundation with these, but generally I wouldn't recommend it unless you're looking for a really heavy coverage. I just want to make sure to show you guys close-ups of these brushes because it's hard to photograph them. I do think that you can see the differences a little better on camera. As you can see, the face of the Fluenta is a little smaller, so you get more surface area coverage with the Oval 8, but overall I do find both of them extremely ideal for foundation. So now I'm going to show you how I store the brushes. I use this Artis case, and you can find this on Nordstrom.com. I love how it fits all of my brushes. Most of the time I'll flip these upside down. Sorry, I just wanted to show you really quickly. As you can see, there are elastic bands here for a few brushes, and the main compartment is where I store the bigger brushes like this, as well as all of my concealers. This is the Artis Oval number 6. This is the Elite Smoke series. The standard Elite is silver, whereas the Smoke is this charcoaly purpley color. I really love how easy these handles are to grip. That's technically why I prefer the Elite series to the Fluenta. You just need to glide the brush across the top of your skin, and I do not recommend putting the product directly onto the face of the bristles. Put the product on your face and distribute it, then go ahead and blend with the Artis brushes. And I only say that because these are difficult to clean. I do have the Artis foam and the cleanser pad, which is great for in-between washings, but I would recommend a deep clean every 2 weeks. The Oval 6 makes it a lot more convenient for me to apply concealer, especially to my acne scarring. If you don't have acne scarring or acne in general, then I recommend maybe going a little bit smaller so that you could suit the size and shape of your under eye. But for facial concealer, whether you want to put it on your forehead or your cheeks, even your jaw, I would highly recommend the Oval 6. I absolutely love these two together. I really love this zippered case, by the way. It's nice and thick. It's not going to win awards for the most stylish brush holder or bag, but I like how sturdy it is. It has a great zipper that hasn't failed on me, and I travel with it quite a bit. So now I'm going to talk to you about my powder brush, and this is a little powder brush. So I have been trying really hard to cut down on how much powder foundation I'm wearing. Even though I still love and adore Burberry's Fresh Glow Compact, I still think that's one of the best full coverage powder foundations on the market. I've been using Wayne Goss's number 2 brush to just gently dust a little bit of powder precisely where I need it. And even though I have to work a little bit longer than I would with a really dense, big, fluffy brush, I find that my results are a lot more natural. I do love Wayne's brushes. You can get them on Beautylish. I think he makes excellent brushes For the price, they're not as hard to find as Chikuhodos or Hakuhodos. I bought this Chikuhodo brush RH1 in Japan, and I do like this for bronzer because it has a very, very slight angle, as you can see. It's really fluffy and it's not too dense. Unfortunately, I don't have a match for this one. I do recommend looking at Wayne Goss's brushes because a lot of them are very similar in shape and size to a lot of the Japanese silhouettes that I really like. So this is my beige nude powder. This hasn't quote unquote replaced my Burberry Fresh Glow, but I use this almost every single day when I need a powder with some color. So if I'm not using a translucent, I'll use this, and I like to get around the nose with this, and I always of course cover my chin. Now if I want to wear a loose powder straight out of the container, something like this, whether it's, you know, Chanel, Chantecaille, I have a lot of loose powder, but lately I've been loving the Dior Skin Forever and Ever Control. I wrote about this on my blog. I'll go ahead and link it down below in the description box if you're curious. But if you're looking for a mattifying loose powder that's not going to make you look flat matte or accentuate your dryness, definitely give this a try. Plus the packaging is super clean. It won't make a huge mess in your bag, which is why I recommend this over most loose powders. So I enjoy the mesh, and I've been using the Ray Morris powder brush. This is the Pro Powder number 22, and this one is nice because it's very, very large and fluffy, but it's not too dense, and it's quite pointy, even pointier than I would say Wayne Goss's powder brushes. And I basically dip it into the mesh. As you can see, there's a loose fine powder that gently coats the bristles, and then I'm just going to go ahead and sweep this all over the face, and I just kind of pat it. I don't even like sweep it actually. I just kind of gently set it down onto the skin, and I'm basically covering myself in powder just to show you guys these brushes in action. But as you can see, there's a lot of give. There's so much flex to this brush, which makes it excellent for applying a dusting of powder. And interestingly enough, I don't like a lot of Ray Morris's brushes, but I highly recommend this one. It's an excellent powder brush. You could use this with By Terry's or any other loose or pressed powder that you have in your collection. All right, we're gonna go back to synthetic brushes because I have been using these two from Laura Mercier for a few months now, and I can definitely say that I like them. At first, I wasn't sure. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good for synthetic, but you don't want to lead with, oh, they're pretty good for synthetic brushes. It's kind of like the Artiste. They're great despite being synthetic, right? But when it comes to these Laura Mercier synthetic brushes, I really love the powder brush. This is just the standard powder, but it's kind of flat. It looks like a large version of Bobbi Brown's Old Cheek powder brush, or blush brush. The bristles are taller, longer, and slightly more fanned out, thinner, but I use this for bronzer, and it's perfect for getting into the edges when I don't feel like using something fluffier like the Hakuhodo RH1. And I use this to apply my bronzer today actually. And it's really nice and easy to diffuse powder, whether it's shimmery or matte, high coverage, sheer coverage. I find that this one works really well, and it's nice to get around the nose, so it fits right into all the little contours. But I just find that this brush deposits the right amount of color, which I think synthetic brushes definitely struggle with. This one diffuses the color and sets it down nice and neatly. Now, if I do want to go the traditional route and apply bronzer, a sheer bronzer with this big fluffy brush, this is Laura Mercier's, I think, bronzer brush. Yep, it says bronzer. And you can use this for powder as well. I use this more as like a floater. I can use it for powder or bronzer. With bronzer, it's easy because you can get that really nice big 3 shape. So it's one, it's like making a 3 on your face, and that's really nice and easy to do with this. Or you can use it clean and use it to blend in your makeup so that everything looks seamlessly blended. Now we're gonna wrap up with cheeks and eyes. This is the number 14 blush, and I have used this for years, ever since he first launched it. I think Wayne has been, redesigning his brushes, and I just, pop this into the cheek socket here, straight up the temple, because that's how I like to wear my blush, and I find that it deposits a great amount of color. You can start sheer and build it up as much as you would like, so I highly recommend this for blush. It also works really well for powder, so if you're not interested in a shape like the Ray Morris, you could definitely use this for all over loose powder. Now I believe this is Wayne's Air brush. It doesn't actually have a name on here, so I'm fairly certain this is the Air. This is one of his more recent releases. brushes, and you can use this to apply powder underneath the eyes. You can use it to apply highlighter down the nose, right on top of the lips. You can use it to set down blush. This is more of the Japanese style where you just pat, 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 just a little bit. The Koreans and Japanese love this technique. You build a blush look that's lit from within as opposed to just like slapped on color. But I really do like this brush because it is very, very versatile. You can go ahead and use this to apply point powder, as they would call it. So if you have oily bits like around your nose, you just dip it into that Dior loose powder and just pop it into place. Just kind of get rid of any unwanted shine or oiliness. Now here are my top 4 eye brushes. For all over color lately, I've been using the Artis Fluenta in Oval 3. This one fits into my eye socket and my crease perfectly. I can use it to blend all the way up to my brow bone as a transition. It goes all the way from the inner corner straight up to my brow bone, and it's possible because it has this little curved J hook. I love that it's not a traditional straight brush like this where I have to maneuver to the point, you know, like where my hand does this. Whereas here, without moving my wrist too much, I can just go straight across. It's perfect. I highly recommend this for all over color if you have a lot of lid space, as I do. Obviously, I have a lot of space between my actual eyelid and my brow bone. So a shape like this comes in really useful for me. The edges are tapered, so the edges of my eyeshadow look effortlessly blended, even though it probably only took me about 2 or 3 seconds. Now I'll blend out the crease area with a Wayne Goss brush. This is number 5, and it's a very small, fluffy brush. I love this because it doesn't look like much, but then when you actually use it, it diffuses color so beautifully. You can use it down on your lower lash line, as well as into the crease, in the inner corners, in the outer corners to smoke it out. This is just a super versatile brush. So don't knock the little guys until you actually try them, because they're my favorite type of eye brushes. Then we have Tom Ford's pencil brush, which is one of my favorite shapes. I think this is one of the best pencil brushes on the market because it's not too big, not too small, not too dense, not too firm, not too soft. It's just the perfect combination for a pencil brush. I can actually blend eyeliner with this, a pencil or cream. So I highly recommend this Tom Ford pencil brush. I really love Tom Ford brushes in general. They're luxe looking, they're easy to take care of, and they last forever. And last but not least, for my eyes, I have this Wayne Goss number 5 brush, which is a smaller version of Tom Ford's pencil brush. It's also softer as well. So if you have very sensitive eyes and you're nervous about using brushes close to your eyeballs, then I definitely recommend Wayne's because they're quite nice around sensitive lids. So generally I use this to apply powder eyeliner. It's a nice way to switch things up from wearing liquid eyeliner, and I don't actually wear liquid eyeliner very much anymore because of my eyelash extensions. So when I have this brush, again, I can get into the lower lash line, but mostly I just use this for point work, between the lashes, around the lashes. It's very, very precise, which is why I love it. Okay, that was a ton of brushes, but we're gonna wrap up with the million-dollar question: how do you wash your brushes? This Spa Sigma brush cleanser thingy is kind of genius. I really do love it. And here you go. It's like a little glove. Hello, like a puppet show. Okay, anyway, to wash my brushes, I actually use Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino soap. And this is actually something that I picked up from Tom Ford's PR staff. They told me that if I want my brushes to look white, then to try this soap. And this is probably the best brush cleanser I've tried. If you're gonna spend so much on Beauty Blender's liquid cleanser, for example, that stuff is super expensive. And I used to wash my brushes with that exclusively for a while, but I find that Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino soap, Neroli Portofino, is so much better. Plus this thing is going to last me a lifetime. And I keep this Tom Ford soap in this packaging because obviously I don't want it to get covered in dust and grime by leaving it out. It still smells so good. Oh my gosh. I always leave it out to dry completely, and then I immediately put it into the Ziploc bag. After the brushes are all clean, I used to put them all out on a drying mat, but now I use my Benjabel brush tree, and I've talked about this many times before in the past. It's available on Beautylish. I'll link it down below, but basically it's a standing tree, this little plastic tree, and you basically slip your brushes through these little silicone slots, and it hangs the brushes to dry.
You came from, you're gon' do tonight. This is what we came for. Let's find out what we're made of tonight. The way you rock the dance floor, I can feel your heartbeat on mine. I don't know what I'm in for, but baby, keep it going. I don't mind. We dance like nobody's watching. Dance like nobody's watching.
And that's a wrap for all my favorite brushes and how I wash them. I hope you guys found that really helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!